I would show you the Oppressor bike, and I would give you my best opinion on this. So let me start this out with saying the Oppressor bike is the most expensive vehicle in the Gunrunning DLC, with a base price of $3,524,000. And if you do the two missions, remember there's two missions you have to do for the Oppressor bike, then the Oppressor bike goes down to $2,650,000. Almost a full $1 million it goes down in price. So I highly recommend you do the two missions before you even buy this bike. It'll save you almost $1 million. So let's get right down to the basics now. The Oppressor bike, for me, it's the fastest bike. It's the fastest bike in the game. It's very agile. It can fly. It might not be the fastest bike in terms of speed itself, just actual speed. If you just go right down the highway and you're just cruising, but if you count the boost that you're able to use every few seconds, and this boost recharges very fast, unlike the Rocket Voltic. The Rocket Voltic takes a lot longer for the boost to recharge. The boost on this bike is extremely fast. This bike can glide, but as you can see, it's very sensitive to me driving around. So this bike does have some disadvantages, and it has some things that I consider to be overpowered for it. I don't know if you would consider that a pro, because I do think that this bike is a little too powerful. Now then, let me get down to the basics for you guys with this. Just a few crashes with this thing, even though I have this thing fully armored, it's already smoking, so we know that it can't take that much damage. But one thing about this bike is I think this bike is really OP, and I think that this thing is comparable to the next Hydra. You can't really escape from this bike, and it's particularly annoying when you're trying to sell cargo in a session and people are flying around these bikes. They can even be more of a threat than Hydras. And this thing has 20 missiles on it. Yep, it has 20 missiles on it, exactly. It also has a machine gun attachment, but the machine gun attachment is not the, nobody's going to be using that. Once everybody unlocks the missiles, everybody's going to use the missiles. The machine guns are pretty much garbage on it. So everybody's going to be using the missiles. One disadvantage of this is that, what kind of got me a little annoyed about this is that I can't use, any other gun on this. Like, I wish I could take out my AP pistol and just fire this from the bike. And people are asking me, well, why would you want to fire an AP pistol if you have missiles? If I'm doing a mission, you know, where I have to get a vehicle, I have to shoot enemies, like, near a certain target without blowing it up, then I would like to be able to shoot my regular guns from it. But I can't. I wish I would be able to swap from missiles to SMG on this, but unfortunately you can't. Now, now to demonstrate the actual missiles on this thing, and show you guys a little other thing. This thing is very fast, and it can fly, it will glide mostly. But a disadvantage of this is this thing is really bad at turning. Really bad at turning. If you want to get to a certain area, you can get there really fast, even faster than with a helicopter, because this thing goes faster over hills. But you have to be going straight towards that target. And I mean, you have to be going straight towards that target. You are not going to be able to just do a 360 turn and just be able to have full speed and go there. As you guys can see, even me, I'm trying to just make a crazy turn. Like, I could make a turn and go over here, but if I want to go all the way to the right, this thing is really, really, really bad at turning. You see that it just nosedives down. This thing is very prone to crashes. See, like that, you have to be very careful with the way you land. I guess that's an upside for dealing with these bikes, that these bikes aren't completely overpowered. But as you guys can see, I've crashed a few times. I've crashed a little bit before I even recorded this. But as you guys see, I crashed a few times and the bike's already down. So the armor on it is not even good, and I have the armor fully missiles on this thing. I mean, if somebody wants you dead, you're pretty much dead. And you got 20 missiles to spare. I mean, just look at this right now. See right there, that guy stood no chance. He couldn't get away from me. And like I was saying, these missiles can lock on, and I think that 20 personally is too much. Too many missiles, I think, is 20 in this thing. I think this thing should have just 4 missiles in it. I don't mind this bike having missiles, having some crazy features, you know, but just 20, I think that's too much, because I think people can do much. And annoying thing about this is, people can just constantly just keep spawning this. It's not like a Pegasus vehicle, you know, where they just have to drive over to a certain area. They can just keep spawning this. I mean, I was playing in a session last night where I was getting attacked by 3 of these things, and there's already another guy in this lobby flying around in this. And I blew up this guy's bike 3 times, and he just keeps calling it in over and over and over again. And the best defense that I've learned from these bikes, the best defense is to be able to get on foot. Get on foot, because if you're on foot, they can't lock onto you. If you're driving, you're pretty much screwed unless you're in an armored vehicle. Also, get in a tunnel if you're driving. They're not going to follow you in a tunnel. The flyers typically will not follow you into a tunnel. How to deal with the bikes on the ground? I would say the best bet is to get a homing launcher. Now that might sound a little crazy, but it actually works. If you take the homing launcher and you lock onto the bike when it's flying, it'll follow the bike, and it'll blow up the bike. So these people, as long as what's difficult about it is that these people often go behind buildings and they go on other streets when they're flying. But if you can get a good lock on them and you can have that homing missile start following them, you will be able to blow them up. But the downside to that is it's going to cost you $20,000 even if the person is attacking you. So even if the person is attacking you and it's self-defense and you blow them up, you're out $20,000, which I think is too much to have this bike blown up. So it's kind of annoying about that. So let me know what you guys think down below. So again, we're gonna go over the pros and cons of this bike right now. Okay, so here we got the pros. This is the fastest bike in the game with the boost. If you don't have the boost, it's not the fastest. It's able to jump over hills and streets and travel faster. It can cut so much time because this bike is very good for transportation. It's even better than the Buzzard, in my opinion, because I'm just able to jump over streets. I'm just able to jump over hills, so I can travel places a lot faster. It has 20 lock-on missiles, which are helpful for the rider, but it can be very annoying. Again, like I said, I consider this bike OP to a degree. You can spawn it as an MC, and you can spawn it as a personal vehicle. It's very good for almost all VIP work. You can use it in pretty much everything. I mean, it would go good in Headhunter. It would go good in Sightseer. It would even go good in Executive Search, just flying around, just defending your executive. There's so many other VIP works that you could just combine this bike with. You can also use this bike, to protect your cargo. So this bike is pretty much good for everything. It's another Hydra in my opinion. But again, even though I'm praising it, just remember, I consider this bike overpowered to a certain degree. It's considered it annoying, especially when you get killed by this thing. Okay, so this is the cons of this. This is the most expensive gun running vehicle with a price of $2,650,000, and that's after you do the 2 missions. If you don't do the 2 missions, you're going to be paying $3.5 million. Do the 2 missions, it's going to save you almost $1 million. It costs $20,000 to repair. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this verse, because it's pretty much $20,000 for all the gun running vehicles. The reason I'm highlighting this one is because this one's the most likely to attack you, and I've personally witnessed it. Now, personally, I don't care about losing that much money because I have a lot of money. But I'm saying this for the average player, they're going to consider this really annoying. It costs $20,000 every time to blow it up. And I was playing a session last night. This guy kept attacking me for no reason. I didn't even do anything to him, and he just kept attacking me with this bike, and I blew it up 3 times, and I had to pay $60,000. I had to pay $20,000 each time, even though it was just self-defense. Now, this bike is very bad at sharp turns. It's very good for transportation, very good for getting to places, don't get me wrong. But if you are trying to make a sharp turn with this thing, it's going to screw you over, and you could potentially crash in the air, that is. It's very sensitive on landings. Be very careful the way you land this bike. Try to land this bike on 2 wheels and try to be slower on the ground. Don't be too fast when you're hitting this bike. Be very careful because you can fly off easily. It has too many missiles. Now, this can be both a pro and a con. This is a pro to the driver, this is a pro to the driver, but it is a con to everybody else because too many missiles. I do consider this thing OP to a certain degree. I think that 20 is too much. I think it should have 4, just like it has 4 slots, and people can constantly spawn them. If they're at an MC club, they can just constantly spawn them from their interaction menu. They can call their mechanic. They can just keep spawning them in over and over and over again. And last but not least, you cannot use any other guns on it. You can't use the AP pistol. You can't use the micro SMG. I really wish I could use other weapons on it, if I'm trying to do a mission where I'm trying not to blow something up and I'm just trying to shoot something. But unfortunately, I can't, so I have to get off the bike each time. But other than that, the bike's very good for travel. It's good for transportation. It's very expensive, though, and it's very sensitive, and I think that it is overpowered. It's very bad at sharp turns. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Tell me what you guys think. If I missed something, if you guys have any other ideas for it, if you think I'm right, if you think that this bike is overpowered because, you know, we had the Hydras and explosive rounds took care of them, but now we have these things to deal with, and these things can be just as annoying as the Hydra, especially when you're trying to sell cargo in a session. So I guess that's that. I will be reviewing the other vehicles, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this series, and I'll see you guys next video. Take care, everyone.